Hi everyone, I'm Michael.
And I'm Patrick, and you're watching an episode of Star Wars News and Views. Today we have some news on Mads Mikkelsen's character.
Or Mikkelsen. We may be pronouncing that wrong. I think it's Mikkelsen. There's two Ks.
I think it's Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
About his character in Rogue One, which at this point has been unknown. He had interviews with Sky News and the Evening Standard where he discussed his role in Rogue One. He told them that he's going to be playing Jyn Erso, or Felicity Jones's character in Rogue One's father. Also, that most of his scenes will be of him interacting solely with her in sort of a flashback scenario.
Yeah, like I guess it's like a flashback to her childhood. So he says, some of the scenes are with her as a child, so they're going to be jumping back and forth in the film.
Yeah.
Which Star Wars has never done. So that's pretty interesting. I think Rogue One being a spin-off, a Star Wars story, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have to adhere to all the stylistic conventions. Like, you don't need an opening crawl. You can have flashbacks. It can be, this is more of like an action espionage type of movie.
Yeah, for
rather
sure.
than like a mythological adventure type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. It seems a lot darker than the other ones were and everything.
Yeah. So you can play around with the formula. So that's cool. So we're going to see glimpses of her childhood, and I don't know how that would inform the story. Like, maybe he dies when she's a child,
or before this, and this is when it starts, is after he dies.
Yeah.
Another thing he told the news sources was that he wasn't really allowed to. He was asked if Darth Vader would return, and he said.
They said, "Do you know if Darth Vader?"
No, he says, "Can you say if Darth Vader returns?" And he said, "Yes, but I won't."
So basically means yes.
So it's a little cheeky, but he said he could say it, but he just didn't want to.
Yeah. Okay. If Darth Vader is not in the film, everyone would just be like, "No, he's not in the film." If someone says, "Oh, is Boba Fett in the film?" They'd probably be like, no, there's no room. He's not appropriate to the story."
Yeah.
But they're not. They're being all coy about it
and not denying Darth Vader. He also said that there would be some returning faces, or I guess some older characters returning. Plural. So at bare minimum, let's say that he's right, or he's being cheeky, but Darth Vader is returning, and we also have Mon Mothma's characters.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say that right? Mon Mothma.
Yeah, Mon Mothma, not Mothra.
Mon Mothma's character. But they also leave room for other characters, including some that might not detract too much from the story, like Biggs and Wedge, possibly.
That would be really cool to see Biggs and Wedge. I guess because they both were in the Rebel Alliance before Luke did. Biggs kind of joined very shortly before, but I think the story is set very shortly before A New Hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Because they just get the Death Star plans.
It would kind of be a shame because you'd have to recast them, obviously. Which I like Dennis Lawson. He's actually Ewan McGregor's uncle, believe it or not. Wedge is Obi-Wan Kenobi's uncle.
Yeah.
Even though he's younger. So that's cool. And I guess that leaves the possibility that the Emperor could make an appearance. And that ties into the theory that we had. People are catching on now to the point where they had to address it. But we had the idea, we were the first ones, that shot of the cloaked figure kneeling is the Emperor, and Snoke is actually in the bacta tank.
Yeah. There's been a tweet from Pablo Hidalgo, though, who stated that Snoke won't be in Rogue One in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That kind of debunks the theory, but maybe he's also just trying to throw it off.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty definitive statement, but still, I really like that plot point that he has Snoke in the bacta tank, and it's either this brief kind of tease.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even see Snoke, and you're like, what the heck is that? What's he doing? And then keep it mysterious. Mm-hmm. And so so it's all smoky, Snoke and smoke.
Yeah.
You don't see him in the movie because it's all smoky. That could make that statement technically true while still kind of when Andy Serkis just lied through his teeth.
I'm playing myself in episode 8 or episode 7, blah blah blah, and then
and Daisy Ridley also confirmed that a lot of people were speculating if Felicity Jones' character could be Rey's mom, and she said no, she wasn't it wasn't some press statement. It was just on a red carpet type of thing, and she's like, "Come on, guys, not everyone has to be connected."
Yeah.
And I believe her on that. I don't think she is playing her mother.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be too much if you see her grandfather and then her mother and then
Yeah. I think they're really trying to make this one a standalone film and not connected to any of the newer movies. other than maybe the Snoke sort of rumor. But
that would be a good way of addressing like what was Snoke doing during the original trilogy. I mean, I'm sure they'll address it in the new films, but it'd be cool to just sort of tease it, and tie it in a little bit.
We're really left with this sort of like he seems really old.
Yeah,
so where was he the whole time?
It's like
it
what?
Doesn't make any
like
sense.
How did you take over the Empire if?
No one heard about you forever. Like, it kind of, they have to really explain it.
Why is everyone like, oh, Supreme Leader, he's great. Like, why does everyone know you now?
They really have to address that at some point. And possibly in episode 8 or 9, but, maybe in Rogue One we'll see it a bit sooner.
Yeah. That's about it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so that's about it. Please be sure to leave us your feedback, what you think of any of this. If you think Snoke's going to be in there, what you think about flashbacks being in Star Wars, not like they kind of had a flashback in Force Awakens, but it was actually technically a vision, so they could kind of justify it.
Yeah.
But they've never done flashbacks.
This is the first confirmed flashback.
And you're going to see her father. So I don't know how he would tie into the story. So leave us your thoughts on that too. Be sure to leave a like, and we'll see you next episode.